well met. It is a dark age. It is a slop age. It is an age of mediocrity. One stood against the horde of slop. Nightdive. With their ravenous hatred, they found no peace, and with boiling blood, they remade the games that made gaming the colossus that it is today. And now, they have returned the titans of ether, Heretic and Hexen, to the gaming consciousness.
Since the 1990s, Heretic and Hexen have simultaneously been trapped on the PC or very elderly consoles. Heretic was released back in 1994, and it never even had a console release, and thus it was only truly enjoyed by the great PC noblemen of the 90s, especially Prince Knight General Lotz. Hexen, released in 1995, did get 2 console ports, one for the Nintendo 64 and one for the weak sauce PS1. The Nintendo 64 port was pretty good, and even had 4-player co-op. The PlayStation 1 was not so good. All the enemies face you all the time, unlike in the true PC version or the N64 version. It did have a few good elements, most notably it had an intro cutscene which was pretty bloody cool. Well, finally, in August of 2025, Nightdive has remastered the greatness of Heretic and Hexen for the PC and all modern consoles. And as you might imagine, we are taking a look at the PC version. I've noticed that people have been rather cross with Nightdive for their pricing scheme, and I get it. Some of those games do cost a bit of dosh. Well, apparently they have listened, because this re-release has a lot of content for a very reasonable price. You get all of Heretic, you get all of Hexen, and a new expansion for each game, all for the reasonable price of $14.99, which is about half of what you find most of these Nightdive remasters priced at. As for the games themselves, Heretic is a first-person fantasy shooter. Many of the weapons are roughly analogous to Doom. The wand is the pistol, the ethereal crossbow is the shotgun, the dragon's claw is the chain gun, etc, etc. The fire mace is one that is a bit different. It's what the BFG in Doom was originally going to be, and ooh boy, I'm glad they didn't go with that, because the fire mace, while useful, still looks kinda silly. The remaster gives us a new wand, and that does pretty great damage. In this game, you can collect and hold in your inventory a bunch of items that will help you along the way. Your objective is pretty much the same in each level. You collect 3 keys and then get to an exit. The levels in Heretic are really bloody detailed and super complex. A little too complex in places, and sometimes you will need to no-clip to finish a level. The enemy variety is excellent, and the sprite work is very impressive, and none of the enemies get old to fight. Unlike with a lot of shooters of this era, the quality of the game does not diminish after you beat the first episode, and the entire bloody game is great from start to finish. There is a story, but it is primarily found in the manual, and would get expansion in Heretic 2. In this game, you play as Corvus, and you are fighting to rid your world of the evil eldritch abomination known as Disperal. He is one of the Serpent Riders, and they are trying to take over the multiverse! Are you a bad enough elf to take him down? Hexen is a little different from Heretic, and it most definitely earned the subtitle Beyond Heretic. What you got here is a class-based, hub-focused first-person shooter. When you start the game, you pick from one of 3 classes: Fighter, Cleric, Mage. The Fighter is a close combat monster and is juicing all them roids. The Cleric is a good balance of bashy with shooty, and thanks to the re-release, he has a shield now. The Mage is by far the best class in the entire game, and anyone who thinks otherwise had better watch out for that percolator, although if they don't put down those bloody Cheetos, I won't have to do anything. He has all that good range firepower, and he even starts with a .22 caliber staff. Each character will collect 3 class-specific weapons. The Gym Bro gets Timon's Axe, the hammer that shoots out smaller hammers, and the Quintus, aka Megasword. The Cleric has the Serpent Staff, the Spicy Chicken Wings, and the Ghost Staff. Yes, it's a staff that literally shoots out angry ghosts. And finally, the Goat gets the Frost Shards, the Lightning Attack, and finally, the Fire Staff. Hexen has many of the same items as Heretic, but in this game, you also collect items to progress in a level. Hexen goes far beyond what Heretic and Doom did in terms of levels. This is a first-person adventure game in many respects, and it truly perfects the standard 90s FPS key hunt. Each hub requires you to collect keys and objects to open up a ultimate door in order to progress throughout the game. In addition to this, you'll have to hit switches to solve fractions of a puzzle to progress as well. This is both frustrating and fun. It gives you the motivation to keep playing since you have a goal beyond kill everything in sight. But due to the obtuseness of the puzzles and the locations of the keys, the game can be rather hard to complete. All told, Hexen is a flawed game compared to Heretic, but they were pushing the boundaries of what was possible. This Nightdive remaster brings in substantial improvements for both games. You can turn off all these improvements and play the games vanilla. To start, we have full control support and the buttons are mapped sensibly. We have fully remastered music, and man, Andrew Hausschultz has done a tremendous job. Just listen to this! And the rest of the OST is pretty badass too, and I find myself rocking out to a lot of these fantasy-inspired beats. We have upgraded levels for Heretic, and those upgrades make already detailed levels even more so, and when you bring up the map, the keys will be highlighted. No more doing bloody laps to find that last goddamn key! Some of the more obtuse puzzles have been fixed, but fear not, some of the challenging ones have been left intact. There have been a number of graphical enhancements, and now the ethereal crossbow bolts are transparent. Of the two games, Hexen was the one that received the vast majority of improvements. The most obvious and awesome improvement is the addition of the PlayStation 1 exclusive cutscenes. The PC version, despite coming on a CD-ROM, had only text screens and a little bit of non-moving art at the very end of the game. Like with the Nightdive Quake 2 remaster, the FMV cutscenes in Hexen have been fully remastered and look great, and they make the whole game feel much more impressive than the original PC release. There, you happy console gamers, the PlayStation 1 had the best story presentation, but now the PC is back to being the most awesome. So, the story for the game is classic D&D stuff. It takes place on a world ruled by 3 evil tyrants. The evil tyrants want to be more evil, so they contract with the next Serpent Rider, Korax, to become ethereal champions of the dark. 3 class-specific heroes take up the challenge to fight their evil rulers and stop Korax once and for all. This cutscene takes Hexen to the next level, and thankfully, the levels have been dramatically improved from the original game. It's still hard, don't you worry about that, but it's not nearly as cheap as base Hexen. Like with Heretic, we now have markers for the keys on the map, but in addition, you now have objective markers on the map. You have no idea how much better this makes the game. You now have a better idea of where to bloody well go. Not only that, but the tweaks in the levels now mean that you won't be doing laps. This was bad in Heretic, it was even worse in Hexen. Case in point, when you reach this tower room, you need to hit a switch. See how you can see it? Well, those bloody D&D nerds back in the 90s originally had it behind a suit of armor. Bastards! You can also switch between the different character classes at each hub instead of being tied to one class for the entire game. And see, with just a few little tweaks and quality of life upgrades, Hexen becomes an entirely better game. And now you're more likely to actually complete the game instead of just bailing to play more bloody Doom. In addition to the remasters, both Heretic and Hexen get a brand new expansion pack. And they're both pretty bloody good to say the least. The Heretic one is just good Heretic blasting fun. The Hexen one is a little more straightforward than base Hexen, but I think that makes it more fun, because you're not just having to deal with a bunch of classic 90s D&D nerd insanity. And I gotta tell you, I really got sucked into this bloody expansion pack. Both Heretic and Hexen have an online component, and you can play it PvP or co-op. Heretic is great co-op blasting fun, but Hexen really shines with co-op, as you can have a couple other pairs of eyes to try to find that blast bloody switch. This remaster features mod support, and the 2 mods I recommend using are Brutal Heretic RPG for Heretic. Essentially, it turns Heretic into a fairly basic action RPG, but it does make it a little more fun in my opinion. And for Hexen, I really recommend getting Wrath of Kronos, as it turns Hexen fully into an RPG and even adds a couple of character classes and makes the game even more fun. You couple that with the bloody objective markers, and you have what is quite possibly one of the greatest Doom engine games of all time.
As we get further and further away from the golden age of gaming, it gets harder and harder to remember what good games even look like. Well, thanks to Nightdive, we get all these remembrances of when the days of gaming were truly good. And so, I am General Lotz, wishing you good Heretic 2 and good Hexen 2, or whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and please consider leaving a like or a comment, as the algorithm desires your soul. And I want to thank all those fans who have supported this channel, both past and present.